Hi everyone, welcome to Global Hack Week. My name is Mara and we'll be doing your first website today. I wanted to give some time to make sure that everyone had some time to settle in, go to the bathroom, get a drink of water, whatever they fancied. For me, I am personally drinking some caffeinated sparkling water. But if you're in the chat or in the stream, I'd love to hear where everyone is from. For me, I was born and raised in Virginia, United States, but recently, I think maybe 9 months ago, I moved to the Pacific Northwest, specifically Seattle, Washington. So that's where I am right now. But if you're tuning in, I know we have hackers from literally all over, so I love to see it. So good morning, or good morning if you're in India. I think a lot of y'all are sometimes from India, so good morning. Um, right now, for me, I actually just got off work. So it's a little bit in the evening for me. Oh, I also do want to say that as you come in, make sure that you are A, checking in, B, pulling up. I think the GitHub will help you. I'll also have a time for that later as well. And then if you want to check me out on Twitter, I mean, that's optional. Algeria, 3 a.m. I don't know if that's a morning yet. I feel like that's the sun's not up. That's night. But wow, love the dedication. Tucson, Arizona, love that. I think you're in the West Coast time zone then as well. But thank you everyone for showing up and welcome. Okay, so today we'll be working on your first website. Just to kind of give you a brief overview of what your first website is going to be. It's a three-part series. We're going to focus first on HTML, then CSS, then JavaScript. By the end of this, there's slides for this. Hold on. So welcome. Hi, my name is Mara. I've been an MLH coach since November 2020, which is crazy because I think yesterday when I was on stream, I said 2021. I could not imagine. I've been working here for like 2.5 years. Crazy. I'm currently working as a full stack web developer using React and TypeScript. And I actually got my start in software engineering through websites. I found it a really easy barrier to entry and I ended up loving it. I love the aspect of coding and then seeing that thing on your screen that other people can use as well as yourself. So today what we're going to go ahead and do is I'll go over, this intro right now. We'll kind of talk about like what exactly is a website, coding wise and everything. We'll go over HTML and then we'll introduce a little bit of Bootstrap and we'll have the project that we'll be using along the way. A lot of this class will be going over first, like, let me explain this to you in words, and then we're going to practice it. It's okay if you don't catch it all right away. This is mostly meant to prime you so that way when we do it later, you have a little bit more experience and you know why we're doing something. Okay, so spoiler alert, this is what we will be working on. It's just a small personal website where you can include a photo, a YouTube video, a button, some links, and like some lists. So what is a website? So if you use Google, you've definitely used the website before. A website is just a way of displaying information. Another common one that you've probably seen is the MLH website. You can actually see all the code behind it just by inspecting elements. And if you ever wondered how to do that, that's how you do it. You just right click and you go down to inspect and you can see all the code in there. And you can do this for any web page. Some of them might not be super readable, but others might be a great way to get your feet wet. But when it comes to websites, how exactly is it programming? So the three programming languages that you need to build a website are one, HTML, two, CSS, and three, JavaScript. Kind of in that order, actually. And that's also the same order that we'll be doing this 3-track series that will happen today, tomorrow, and Friday as well. If you think about a website like a body, HTML is going to be the skeleton. That's going to be like what's on the page. You can't have a website without HTML. Then you have the skin. The skin, like in Valorant or Fortnite or whatever, Minecraft, it just makes everything more pretty. It gives everything a decoration. So that's what CSS is. And then JavaScript is going to be the muscle. This is not necessarily required, but it definitely helps make the website more interactive, which is going to be more fun for users. So in HTML, we have two parts. We have the head and we have the body. So the head is, you got a head. That's where all the thinking's happening. That's where the metadata is. Meta is like about itself, data. Metadata, it's data about data. That's all going to be in the head. So think when you see words, if you have a tab open, you probably have an icon in that tab and then a title for your tab. Where is that found? That's found in the head. We also have a body. So the body is everything that we can see on the website. HTML is made up of elements. There's kind of three main things we'll start off with. We have the opening tag, we have the content, and we have the closing tag. If you think about it this way, we all know computers are dumb. No matter how smart we think they are, at least for right now, before AI. Right now, computers, they only do specifically what you tell them to. So with HTML, the opening tag is a way of saying like, hey, computer, get ready to display this content. It's going to be a paragraph. So make sure you apply all the code that you know for paragraph. So you have the opening tag, hey computer, it's a paragraph. Hey, this is the content that I want inside the paragraph. And then the closing tag is like, okay, you guys, we're done. Wrap it up. No more paragraph here. So I'll be kind of referring to, if you'll see in the opening tag, there is an element name inside of it. It's P. P stands for paragraph. This is typically done for, think about when you're reading a textbook, you have like paragraph text. It's just essentially like think plain text, standard text. I'll probably be using the element name and the tag name, what's inside the tag pretty interchangeably. So P is paragraph. I also have a cheat sheet for this later, so no worries. This is the cheat sheet. Feel free to take a screenshot of this, or if you haven't already, if you go to Hackpack YFW with Mara1, that's actually going to take you to the GitHub where I have these Canvas slides ready for you to look at, as well as all the instructions if you were to do this on yourself, on your own. So if you find yourself getting stuck or falling behind, you can definitely reference that. Or if you find that you have to leave early, you can also reference that. This cheat sheet has a bunch of really important HTML elements. These are also all elements that we'll be working on. In my opinion, this is like what you need to build a basic website. Oh, welcome back, Wombo Combo. I don't think y'all. Yeah, I will hear of all those theories. So I gotta be safe. I gotta be safe. All right. So we're gonna go over these kind of one by one. First, we're gonna go over H1. H1 has H2, H3, H4, H5, H6. In the chat, can you let me know, do you have any experience with HTML, or is this a completely new concept to you? Also, if you do have programming experience, please let me know, just because that kind of helps me figure out what's the best way to explain this, as I know we're all of different levels, which honestly I love. Beginners are always welcome, advanced people are always welcome, anyone who's willing to learn is always welcome. People have a lot of great. Okay, so with the header, that tag is going to be H1. An example that you can see here is it's just going to be just like the P tag. You're going to have an H1 tag, the content inside, and then the closing H1 tag. Headers are typically used, you guessed it, like headers. So if you're using, say, Google Docs, if you're reading the textbook, if you're going to a website, whenever you see like a title or some kind of like bold, bigger text, that's usually, that's what the header is for. We also have this anchor tag, which honestly, without reading anything, I was very confused when I first heard about the anchor tag. I was like, what's an anchor tag? It's just a link. And so it's a link, but it's called an anchor tag so you can anchor to a specific website. But you need to use a hyperreference to link somewhere. So that hyperreference is an attribute called href. And that just means that an attribute is a way to provide additional data to your element. Again, if you don't get this quite off the bat, that's a-okay. This is more meant to prime you. Then you have an image element. This is something called a self-closing tag. So it doesn't need another closing tag. So if you notice right here, I just have a slash at the end of this opening tag. That has the source attribute. Then we also have unordered list and ordered list, which are unordered is bullet list and ordered is number list. And inside there, you also use a list item. And a list item can have, list item is where you have like each bullet point, each number, things like that. All right. Oh, I feel like it like glitched a little bit. So now I have a bunch of messages. Currently doing full stack web dev. Okay. Love that. Very intro knowledge. Also love that. Okay. HTML, CSS, but not JS. Honestly, learning JS, in my opinion, okay, I will say in my opinion, learning JavaScript and then moving from just doing plain HTML and CSS into using like a JavaScript library or a framework is beautiful. I use React all the time, and that's what I really prefer because it makes life so much easier. And there's so many packages that you can just like, you can steal bits and codes from like bits and pieces of code from other people, and it makes things so easy. Why use 5 lines of JavaScript if you can do it in 30 lines of CSS? Ooh, props to you. I could not. Oh, okay. You've already used HTML and CSS and created websites. Love that, but you haven't used JavaScript yet. Okay. So just to kind of give you like an example of what you want to do for, or what this workshop specifically is, we are going to go over the basics of HTML as well as Bootstrap today. That's going to come in towards the end. If you already have experience with HTML, this may not be new to you, but if you want like a fun little like refresher, little camaraderie, I don't know how to pronounce that word, but if you want an experience, feel free to join us. And then on Friday, we'll also be doing JavaScript and we'll make like a little game. Okay, next we have div, which is a division element. And then you also have these kind of, this header and footer, which is essentially just like div, but it's better for web accessibility because screen readers can read it and go like, hey, this isn't a normal div, this is actually the footer, or actually the footer, or hey, this isn't a normal div, this is actually a header. So it's more about making things accessible to those who have to use screen readers. And then you can also use text decorations like strong or M, which is short for emphasis. But again, please, if you're not familiar with any of these, please screenshot them. And then if you don't want to screenshot them, I also have them in that hackpack/YFW with Mara 1. There's a Canva website, and so you can check this out. Ooh, slide sent me back. It's okay. We love a little refresher. Okay, now we're here. So this is going to be, I think, like the last bit before we start practicing ourselves. So I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I just want to give a closer up visual. So the attributes are going to be extra data you can give into an element. Some elements require this, for example, an image. And when you think about it, it makes sense because if you just have an image tag and you're like, hey, computer, put an image, the computer's not going to be like, man, you want an image? I'll just Google one right now and throw it on there for you. No, you have to tell the computer, like, what's the source for the image? Are you going to give it a file path? Is it something like that's in the same file as the HTML? Or are you going to give it like a URL? So that way, like, it knows to like go on the web and find that image. But either way, you need to have for image an opening tag, and in the opening tag you have the attribute, and then you also need the value. And then you're going to have the closing tag, and because this is self-closing, you don't need to say like you don't need to have like the little arrow slash image arrow. If you're wondering how to get onto this stuff, go to hackpack/YFW with Mara1. And speaking of which, if you haven't, go ahead and do that now because that is what's happening next. I'm actually going to pull it up myself as well so I can show y'all. Okay, let's show you real quick what we're doing. Okay. So this is where we are. If you're on the GitHub, this is what we're doing. Yes, this is the GitHub. So if you scroll down, you're going to kind of see like what exactly are we working on today. So this is the completed view. This is step 1. It's just going to be blank. This is step 2, step 3, and step 4. First, we're going to go ahead and go to the REPL. So click here to see the REPL. Go there. If you haven't used Replit before, I highly, highly suggest it, especially if you're still kind of like new with websites, because it's a great way of having an online IDE. It also works for a lot of really nice things. And it works for like a lot of different languages too. So you can really explore without having to like worry about how to set up your environment. Okay, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're at this Replit, okay? We are going to fork this. So if you are new to GitHub or any kind of version control in software engineering, forking means that you're going to take my base code and you are going to fork. You're just going to branch it out, create a new version of it. And like if multiple people do it, you know, there's like multiple forks. In the road, there's a Robert Frost. Tell him about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and name this GHW. I'm gonna do 3.8 just because I do this multiple times, so I have to make sure I have something uniquely named. Okay, and you can name it whatever. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, but something that's descriptive that you understand. And then go ahead and fork it, and you're gonna find that we have several things available. And by several things, I do really mean that we just have the index.html. And that's okay. That's all we're going to be using actually. All right. Send in the chat when you've gotten to that point. I want to make sure that I don't start coding without y'all being ready. So let me know when y'all are available. Just let me know when you get to this webpage. Just give it a sec. We got one person on. I'll wait for like, I'm gonna aim for like 3, 4 people at least, because I know sometimes people don't feel comfortable sending into chat, and that's okay. Yes, that is the website if you're wondering how to get to the GitHub, which then has the link for the Replit. So I'm just gonna leave that up real quick. Let's put on some jams real quick. I love some royalty free music. Kind of reminds me of like the Home Depot theme song. I used to work at Home Depot for like a year and a half, and it was just good. So the way this is gonna work is I'm gonna go ahead and help you all set up, and then we're gonna afterwards we're gonna take some time for you to play around for a little bit. We'll have like a little. I'll like probably go take a little quick 5-10 minute break, and then I'll come back. And if you want, you can show everyone what your website looks like. Okay, so let's get started. So first, what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to have a couple different things. We're going to use all the different elements that I mentioned in the slides. So first, what we're going to do, the best one, a P tag, a paragraph tag. We're going to structure this in a couple different ways. So really quick, I'm going to control and then slash to create a comment. And this comment is just going to be code that the computer like ignores because you're just writing a comment to yourself, but it's going to help me structure. So I'm going to have a header, I'm going to have an about me. I'm going to have, what else am I going to have? I'm going to have a goals list, and I'm going to have a footer. Yeah, that seems about right. So first for a header, can anyone guess what element I'm going to use for the header? It may seem like a trick question. It is not. What kind of element am I going to use for the header? Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll do H1. And I'm just going to say, you can say whatever you want. I'm going to say, hi, I'm Mara. And then I'm going to control S, or you can click this run button here. And on the side, look, hi, I'm Mara. Isn't that amazing? Okay. Then next, what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to be, oh, appreciate it. Okay, next what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to do a paragraph tag. And so also another really great thing about Replit that I enjoy is if you worked with any IDE, maybe not any, but I use Visual Studio Code and Replit, they autocomplete, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm too lazy to keep like typing myself, so if I can find something that autocompletes for me, I will always try to use it. Okay, so about me, I'm going to copy and paste this just because I already did this before, but you can take the time and write whatever you want. You mostly just want to have something in there so you can go back and edit it. So for me, this is a little bit about me. I'm a software engineer at Microsoft who started in June 2022. It's been about 9 months, I think. I graduated with a computer science degree and love education. I TA'd different CS classes in college and even started a Girls Who Code college loop to bring together women who code. So that's about me. And you can have like a bunch of different paragraph tags. So I'm actually gonna even add another. So I'm gonna say, I'm creating this curriculum to help people learn how to make their own website, as this was my gateway into coding. Nowadays, I'm a full stack web developer and I work with React and TypeScript, aka Microsoft's fancy JavaScript, which I actually really like TypeScript because it's a little hard because it's so strict and requires you to like say what type you're doing. It's kind of hard to mess up. Actually, that's a lie. It's very easy to mess up, but you won't have a bunch of random bugs that sometimes you do with JavaScript just because JavaScript is so like wishy-washy, lets you do anything, honestly. Okay. So this is me. Okay. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is I'm actually going to even say like you're doing that about me for your personal website. You probably want to add any links to your social media or things like that for people to connect with you. Facts. It's a great learning tool though. It's a really good language to learn. Okay. So let's say for me, I also run my own social media. Instagram, I'll put in my tag there, and TikTok, where I post vlogs and other things. Who knows? Maybe I'll start making tech content. So right there, I have like a good about me, But what would make this even better is if I'm going to add my social media, I probably want to link to it. What's the point of adding something that people can't even access easily? So when it comes to web development, you always want to make sure things are as simple as possible. So the way I'm going to do this, does anyone remember how to add a link? Or can anyone go to that cheat sheet table that I had up earlier and tell me what element should I use to create a link? I'm kind of chugging these down because they're caffeinated. So, you know, that 6 p.m. streams are fun because they're after work and they're a fun way to get to talk to everyone and do a little education. But I definitely do need the caffeine to keep going. Okay, Wombo combo. Do not ever second guess yourself because that href is correct. So what we're gonna go ahead and do is we do href. I'm gonna let some put it right there. Okay, so if you notice right here is I put the opening tag right before Instagram Milk and then the closing tag. This is actually a really great way to describe it right there. So for me, this is what it's going to look like for me, but you can kind of play around with it, whatever works for you. So anchor, hyperreference equal whatever the link path is, and then you can put what you want to be like that blue text. You know, whenever you go to like a really, I don't know, nowadays I feel like people don't usually have websites that are just HTML. I remember like even like 5 years ago, that was like a thing. Some people were just so new to websites. Now there's Wix and Shopify and Squarespace. Everyone's doing great. Oh, facts. So if the link does not have a secure connection, always do HTTPS. The S is just security. Okay, so let's try that again. I'm gonna do that again with my TikTok. So just gonna add that there. And I'm going to do HTTPS tiktok.com/Mara drinks milk. So that's what I got. That's my quick about me. I have my social, I have like who I am professionally. I have my own social media on there. So if anyone wants to check it out, they can. But now I'm kind of done. I'm done with the about me. So now that I'm finished up this section, I'm going to add a horizontal ruler just to help separate. This is like a random thing that sometimes people use. It's called HR. I think it's fun. It just adds a line. So if you want like a visual separation, it's fun. I don't think people have websites with just HTML, CSS. No, that's fair. No, I meant like before there would be like businesses that would just be like HTML and CSS, but like not just HTML and CSS, but like you could really tell that it was just HTML. They didn't even have any CSS. So I'm sure if you're, it sounds like you're good at CSS. I'm sure your websites are looking good. Yeah. Making websites always gets more complicated. Everything gets more, the more you know, the more complicated it gets, and then there you are learning a new thing every weekend. I think right now I'm learning Mobex state trees, which if you said that to me like 3 years ago, I would have been like, Mobex state tree? Why? But now I'm like, this is exciting. I watched like an Egghead tutorial. Okay. Also, Egghead apparently is like a person that does educational content, which I did not know. I like said that to my husband. My husband was like, it's not nice to call people eggheads. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and we are going to make a goals list. So I want to use a header, but I don't want to make it as big as the title of my page. So what tag should I use? I want a header and I want it to not be as big as my title. What element should I use? It's all, yeah, it really is WordPress and Wix. H2, yes, that's correct. Okay. So I'm just gonna say this, I'm gonna make this 2023 goals. So now what we're gonna go ahead and do is I want to have two different options for goals. So I'm gonna kind of give it like a smaller header, but instead of making a header, I'm going to just make it bold. So I'm gonna do strong, and I'm gonna make professional, and then I'm gonna have a second one, and I'm gonna make personal, personal goals. Okay. And if you notice, they're just like right next to each other, just text. But I wanna make a list. So how can I make a list? And bonus points if you can tell me which lists are numbered and which lists are bullet points. What element do I want to use that would give me bullet points? And what element would I use that would give me a numbered list? Okay, OL is numbered and UL is bullet points. Great, so now that I have that list, I'm gonna make my professional goals ordered list. I'm gonna make my personal goals just bullet points. Now, what do I put inside these lists? What do I put inside these lists? So it's not just enough that it's lists. What goes inside them? There's a certain element. Also, I just finished my first caffeinated water, but I do have a second can, so if MLH gets a sponsorship for caffeinated water, I would want to be the first to know. Okay, LI, perfect. LI is short for list item. Okay, so my professional goals list item is create more technology educational content. And I think something that I want to do more of that I haven't like been doing is go to more hackathons. So now you'll see that if I reload this, it'll create a numbered list. You can put whatever you want. You don't even have to do goals, but this is just an example. So personal goals, for me, I have a holiday coming up. It's called Ramadan, where I will be fasting for 30 days. So one goal for me is to last all month fasting for Ramadan. And then another goal for me would be clean, if I can spell right, clean my apartment once a week. Sometimes it's getting messy, so I want to be better about cleaning. So now you can see that as I save that, those become bullet points. Caffeinated water, like coffee? I mean, put coffee and water and boil it, or is that a US thing? It actually is. Oh. My husband came in with water. I think maybe he heard I had a lot of caffeinated water, and he was like, maybe you need something that doesn't have caffeine in it. Okay. Caffeinated water, actually, it's sparkling water with caffeine in it. Imagine like an energy drink. Yeah, that's essentially it. It's an energy drink without sugar. It's just sparkling water. But yeah, it's a relatively new US thing as well. Is it healthy? Probably not. A lot of US things aren't. Yeah, I'll slander US. Okay, so now what we're gonna go ahead and do is also at the end of it, let's just say something that would help my goal is I'm going to add I'm gonna add a Twitter button. Just because I love my Twitter, I love plugging my Twitter. I'm just gonna add a link that has my Twitter on it, and then we're gonna style this later on. So you can use this as a button, like a link for anything, a button for anything, and we're gonna, once we introduce the bootstrap, we're gonna style it. Okay, so I'm gonna make this say, follow me on Twitter. Okay, so that's a link. And next up, we have the footer. So the footer, I'm just going to use the footer element, and I'm just going to say, thanks for checking out my website. Isn't coffee already caffeinated water? You've got a point. You've got a point. Actually, I don't really like coffee. I can't drink coffee black. I like need it to have copious amounts of sugar. I actually have cans of condensed milk that I'll probably use a can like every like 2 weeks just to add it into my coffee because it's milk and sugar in one. Okay. So now we should have this very basic website. Hopefully y'all have something very similar where it has a bunch of text on it. It's got some links. It's got some different looking kind of text. And it's even got like a line in the middle, should you choose. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to add in some fun media elements. Oh, I'm glad you're excited for Ramadan too. Yeah, it's always important to eat healthy. I'm like looking into, there's like things called like Liquid IV, which is like really about like hydration, and I'm looking up like recipes. I have like porridge. I'm gonna make like ada soup, which is really like I've never made it before, so excited. Hi, welcome. If you're just coming in, what we're doing right now is we are currently working on creating our own website. The link is down there if you want to come catch up. We actually just got started on step 3 media elements, or we just finished step 2 HTML elements. And we're about to work on step 3 media elements if you want to catch up with them. So if you're, okay, so I will actually walk you through. So we'll go to hackpack / YFW with Mara 1. That link's just down there, by the way. And then we are going to go to, if you want to go ahead and download it, you can go to step 2 HTML elements. Or actually, hold on. You're going to go to main. Wrong. You're going to go to main. You're going to scroll down. You're going to go to the replit here. You are going to fork this replit. So you're going to fork it. You're going to name it like, just send you the link. hack/YFW. And you're going to fork it. And if you need to, I'll also send this link here so you can just copy and paste the code that we've done so far. 90 Styles web developers now be like, well, we're all done. Oh, wow. Yeah, if we were in that time phase, we'd also be using PHP instead of JavaScript to make our code fancier, which I've used PHP. I used it for a semester in college, and I was like, why would anyone want to do this? It was so, I'm sure it's great. No PHP slander, but I also actually PHP slander. I stand by it. Okay, so now what we're going to go ahead and do is we are going to introduce some media elements. So media elements that we're going to introduce are going to be, we're going to add a photo of me. And then we're also going to add a YouTube video. Isn't that fun and exciting? Okay, so for the photo of me, I now realize that I do not have that photo of me saved, which is probably for a good reason. So I'm going to go to this code. I'm gonna go to my code and where I have everything saved. I'm actually just going to copy this image link. So now I'm gonna go here. If I wanna do a photo, this element is image source. So let me just type this in really quick. And then, so if you're trying to add an image to your code, this is the line that you need to do it. And then we'll go ahead and fix this really quick as soon as I look at chat. Okay. How to use PHP. Don't worry about PHP. Unless, I think nowadays PHP is being more phased out for like JavaScript. Unless you want to be a PHP developer, which is like another language to use a website, you don't have to worry about it. The great thing about web development is that there are so many programming languages available and so many ways to learn that you can really pick and choose. What is the difference between PHP and Java? They're just different languages. It's like if you were to ask, like what's the difference between Spanish and I'm trying to think of a language that isn't also a Romance language. Um, it's like if you were like asked the difference between like Spanish and Chinese. They're just different languages. PHP is typically used more for websites, and Java is going to be more for like applications, like Java applications. Okay. German. That's a good one. I forgot about Germanic languages. Spanish and Portuguese. No, you did not. There are no dumb questions here. Questions are for learning. So honestly, props to you for asking the question. It's like how else are you gonna know? No dumb questions. Okay. Also, I feel like Spanish and Portuguese is Portuguese not a Romance language? I don't know. I'm very monolingual, me personally. Okay, so now back to the code. We are doing an image. So if you notice, I went ahead and I just uploaded an image. If you're not sure where to get an image, you can just go to pexels.com. Okay. Go to pexels.com and you can just look up whatever. If you're like, let's see what's up for like Ramadan. Okay. Classic dates, lanterns. Okay, that's fun. If you want to do something like that, you can. If you want to also do something like puppies, I love puppies. Pexels is really nice. You can just find this image. You can open it up. You don't even have to download it. You can right click this image and then you can go to copy image link and you can use that as your source as well. Okay. So this is a little too big. It's like kind of massive. Like you just scroll all the way down to get the rest of my content. So what I'll go ahead and do is you can actually add an attribute to your image tag to change it. So I'm going to make the width equal to 100% of the screen. So this is a quick way to kind of change how big this is. So now it's a little bit smaller, but I'll actually just make it just a little bit smaller. Okay. But also, like, now it looks kind of ugly, but that's okay because in step 4, we'll be doing Bootstrap, which will make things way cuter. Okay, now let's go ahead and I'm going to separately look up the YouTube video I want, just because YouTube can be a menace. And I will find the YouTube video that I want. Perfect. Found it. Okay. Oh, glitched my screen. I would recommend skipping that step. Okay. I think if I bring it back in, it will continue to, oh, it stopped glitching. Okay, that's ideal. We love when things don't glitch. Oh, Smiling Shiva Inu. Love those. I love dogs. My sister just got a dog that's growing so fast to be absolutely massive, and I'm just really excited. I think if I ever got a dog, I'd get like a Burmese mountain dog just because they're so huge. Okay, looks like this is glitching, so I'm going to try something different. I'm just gonna paste the link in here. Okay. Perfect. It's still glitching a little bit, but that's okay. So if you want to go ahead and introduce a YouTube video into your code, YouTube is really great about this, and I'm going to introduce something called iframes. Maybe I cannot. So if you click share on a YouTube video, maybe. Okay. Let it load. Maybe YouTube doesn't feel like indulging us right now. But if you click share, there should be an option for an iframe. It looks like that does not exist right now. So what I will be doing instead is I will be copying and pasting and showing you what an iframe looks like. That being said, if you just go to the share button on YouTube, you should be able to click around and you can find a way to do an iframe as well. Typically, it'll say like embed video, and it'll give you this little piece of code that you can introduce into your HTML. And if you see, it has my thumbnail, it has like a play button, it has a, it's like YouTube, just in a smaller screen. Okay. So you can even like edit like the width and the height, the source, what the title is, things like that. So now all these media elements are in. That's it. That's the only two we really wanted to do. We just wanted to do the photo and the iframe. I'm also really quick going to add a header here. This will come in handy when we're about to style. So I'm just going to add the header there just to surround. If you notice, it really doesn't do anything because all it is doing in the code is telling the computer like, hey, these are like separate. Okay. Now we're here. We're like, dang, what do we do now? What's next? And I'll tell you. I tell you what we're going to do now. We are going to go back to the slides. Yep. We're going to go back to slides. So if I go ahead and I do pull these up. Okay. Give me like a vibe check. How is everyone doing on a scale of like 1 to 10? And then feel free to elaborate. So if I can figure out how to make your experience better, I will. I just want to get like a sec to look into Bootstrap. Okay, so I'm hoping everyone's had some time to kind of wrap up on what they're doing on their website. If you found a YouTube video you want, hopefully you've had a chance to embed it. If you're trying to look for the slides, feel free to go to Hackpack YFW with Mara1. There's actually, if you scroll down on the GitHub, it says click here to view slides. And if you click that, it'll send you to like a website version of these slides. Okay, so what we're gonna be working with is Bootstrap. Has anyone heard of Bootstrap? Send in the chat if you have. If you haven't, also A-okay, because we love new things. Bootstrap is a framework that web developers use to make their websites more responsive and mobile friendly. This is really great because if you aren't familiar with what a framework is, it's basically code that other developers made that we can therefore go ahead and use. So it's like all the benefits of extra code without none of the cons, you know? That's a lie though. There are cons. The cons are you don't have it completely custom to what you want. But that's okay. Bootstrap is great for the majority of it. Okay. We love that. Heard of Bootstrap, never used it, as well as used it. But it's like learning English again. Okay. So Bootstrap actually uses CSS and JavaScript. So I know we're just going over HTML today, and maybe we're like cheating a little bit by introducing Bootstrap, but it's really great if you only understand Bootstrap, but you want to add a little more pizzazz to your website. It's Bootstrap an app? No, Bootstrap is basically a series of files that you have access to. So it's good for making apps, but it's a framework. So it's a bunch of files that you have access to and that you can use to make your code, like your website, look better while keeping your code simple. Yeah. So you use it in your HTML by referencing it. And I've already set up how to reference it, but we'll walk through what exactly it means. So the reason I wanted to use Bootstrap is primarily for the grid system. That's what we're going to work on today. I think this is a really nice part of setting up your website. I love it because it's responsive. The grid's going to change based off the number of columns. There's 12 columns available, 12 column units, and there's different views. So if your screen is small, if it's large, if it's medium, you can make like the amount, you can make the number of columns custom to like what that view is. So say you're on like a laptop screen, that's a large screen. You want it to have 3 columns, we can do that. But that same thing, when you're on that phone, you only want it to have 1 column. We can also do that. So let's go over how we can use it. So I learned better through visuals, and hopefully y'all do too. Also maybe through practice, because that's what we're going to focus on today. So Bootstrap, column 6 plus column 6. Remember that there are 12 total units in the columns. So 6 units, 6 divided by 12 is half. 6 divided by 12, also half. This is a fun little refresher in math. You know, when they say computer science is math, this is totally what they mean. Next, we have column 3 and column 9. So your columns don't have to be the same size. You can make it look a little bit like Cornell Notes style, you know? So 3 units, 3 divided by 12 is equal to 1/4, and 9 units, 9 divided by 12 is equal to 3/4. So column 3 is 1/4 of the screen, column 9 is 3/4 of the screen. You also can use more than just 2 columns. So if you want it into thirds, you can do 4 units 3 times. So 4, 4, 4, 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. Next, so those are the examples. And this is how we actually use it. Give me a second. I'll sit. I need the caffeine to keep me going. I'm gonna play Pokemon after this, so you know, gotta stream and then immediately go to Pokemon Violet. Okay, so classes are how HTML is going to communicate with CSS. So this is sorry, reading the chat. Classes are how the HTML communicates with the CSS. So class is just an additional attribute. It's an additional attribute in the HTML element. Class is really great if you think about it. Think about how, say you're in a high school, you know, you have your grade is your class. So in America, you know, you have the graduating class of 2018, 2019, 2023, 2024, all that. It's like a group. So the great thing about class is that an element can have multiple classes and a class can have multiple elements. But what we're going to focus on right now is how can we use it to make it into Bootstrap. So Bootstrap we've already introduced it. We linked Bootstrap up and above. But now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to call on the classes that Bootstrap has given us. Like I said before, Bootstrap is a framework that we can use. So they just essentially bundled up, packaged up all the code that they've already made. And we grabbed it, we put it into our code, and we're like, great, we're going to use some of this. So the way you can do that is they already have class names. So one of those is row, and some other ones are call 6, call 4, call 3, etc. So if you're looking at this code on the left, this is what that code would look like on the right. So this div right here, that's a class row. It means everything inside of it is going to be next to each other. It's going to be in a row. Then this class right here, it's call 6. 6 divided by 12 is half. And that second one right here, 6 divided by 12 is also equal to 1/2. So you're going to have one on the left because it's in a row, and then next to it on the row, you're going to have another one taking up half. So this is basic Bootstrap classes. I highly recommend screenshotting this. Again, also, if you go down below to hackpack/YFW with Mara1 and you click to see the slides, you can see like you can have the website version of this. Basically, what's really great about Bootstrap is here are some basic Bootstrap classes that we're going to be looking at today and kind of playing around with. You have container. This is going to give a consistent spacing to your website, so it'll help like with the white spaces so your text isn't so smushed to the left or smushed to the right or smushed to the left or the top, the bottom, whatever. Row is great because that's going to put things in a row instead of just having things like all top, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom. You can also do M dash and like a number or M X, M Y, whatever, and that's going to be your margin for whatever your customizations are. So you have X, you have Y, left, right, top, bottom, etc. You have that same thing, but it's for padding. If you don't, we'll kind of work this. And then we also have background. So what's really, really cool is that there are set colors in Bootstrap and you can use them in their backgrounds as well. You can do primary, secondary, success. Success is green, danger is red. You have dark, which is dark. You have white, it's white, etc. And then there's also text where you can change the text colors as well. And then you even have buttons here for BTN, which stands for button, that you can add onto a link to make it look more like a button, which we'll play around with as well. Okay, so this is how you connect Bootstrap. I'm gonna go ahead and just show you where that is. But first, I want last chance. Screenshot this if you want. I'll leave it up for a minute. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing and go back to sharing my Replit. I wish the stream was easier to switch back and forth to, but alas, we are where we are and we're enjoying it all the way through. Okay. So now what we're going to go ahead and do is we've gone ahead and we've learned a little bit about Bootstrap. How are we going to use it? So I've already gone through the process of connecting Bootstrap for you. It is just that little chunk of code that says link. It has a hyperreference to, if you notice, Bootstrap. The relationship is a style sheet, and then this is just some security stuff here. You don't have to worry too much about that. So what I'm going to start with is I'm going to look, and what can I do? I think one thing that I want to do is maybe give everything like a proper spacing. So I'm going to add a division around everything. So we'll do this about me. We'll give it a div. So it's opening, and then I'm going to close it right before this horizontal ruler. Okay, if you notice, nothing actually looks like it changes, which is a-okay. So next, what I'm going to go ahead and do is you can do class and you can do container if you want to do spacing, but I'm realizing maybe I don't want to do container off the bat. Maybe what I want to do, let's make this a little wider, is I want to put the photo on the left and I want to have the text on the right. So what class can I do that to make the photo on the left and the text on the right? How do I make the text or the photo on the left and the text on the right instead of being top bottom? Also at this point, because this is after we do like this part, I'm very open to the styling of whatever y'all are feeling. And then also at some point, I'm gonna give some point soon, I'm gonna give you all about, let's say like 5 minutes to kind of play around with your own site. And if you're interested in showing it on stream, I will be happy to pull it up. So the class that we're going to want to go ahead and use is we have several Bootstrap classes available to us. The one that we want to specifically use is going to be, row. So let's see what happens here. Oh. Looks like that made these things a little harder. Okay, let's fix that width. So this isn't quite doing, let's make this even smaller. This isn't quite doing what I want it to. Why is this not working? So with row, we have to add in a couple more divs, a couple more division elements. This is great for helping us style and kind of organize the code a little bit. So I'm going to place a div around not just the image, but also around the text. So if you notice, I have this div row right here, but I also have a div. So I have this row, and inside the row, I have the photo, and I have my text. So my class is row, and then I want my photo to take up, let's say, a quarter of the page. So I'm gonna do col 3. And then I want my text to take up 3/4 of the page. So I'm gonna do col 9, because 9 divided by 12 is 3/4. If you notice that, now I can go ahead and change my width back to 100%. And you see that it's smushed right where I want it, where it's on the left and it's on the right. Okay, what next do I want to try? I think what I want to do is I want to make this my follow me on Twitter button. Where is that? I'm going to make my Twitter button look more like a button. So I'm going to do class equals btn. And let's see what happens. Ooh. It's not doing anything. So let's try btn primary. If you notice, now it added some color. And you can kind of play around with it. If you remember, you can do btn primary, you could do warning, which I can't remember what color that is. That's yellow. You can do info, which is teal. You can just play around with it a little bit. I'm gonna stick with warning because I love yellow, and we'll see how it goes. Okay, next up, I want to put this goals on the left-hand side, and I want to put this YouTube video on the right-hand side. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to put the goals into a div, including the Twitter button. I'm actually going to include the Twitter button in the goals. And then I'm going to put the iframe in its own div. Save that. And then I'm going to put that all in a div. So I have a div, and inside, so I have this div, and when I open it up, I have two more divs. One is that YouTube video, and the other one is the goals list with the Twitter. And just like before, I'm going to give that first div, the parent div, the class name of row, and then I'm going to give the children div, I just want it to be half, so I'm going to do col 6 and col 6, and let's see if this works. And now it's next to each other. It looks a little funky because I do have it smushed. If I play it around, it looks a little bit better. Okay. Next, what I want to do is I want to make this I want to have more spacing. I want it to be consistent. So I'm going to use container because I know that's going to give me consistent spacing that also looks nice. So now I have a little more spacing on the left, see, compared to right there. So I'm also going to do that for up above. I'm going to do that just in actually my about me text. Actually, you know what? I think it would look better if I just have it around the whole row. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do, there's still something missing. It still looks a little bit boring. So let's do something that I might find a little bit more fun. Let's go into your header and let's play around a little bit. There's a couple things we can do. I think one thing that I want to do is I'm going to mess with the background. To make it match my button, I'm going to do the background of warning. Theoretically, if you're actually using Bootstrap, you want to stick with primary and secondary, but because I want to just use the yellow color without messing with the settings for right now, I'm just using warning. But this is what the primary background looks like. But that looks a little, it's a little ugly. It feels so smushed. So what else do I want? Do I want to increase the margin or the padding? So margin and padding are both ways to add kind of quote unquote white space to your code. With margin, it would be outside that you're adding white space, and with padding, it would be inside. So if I go ahead and let me show you. If I wanted to add space around the blue, I would use the margins. So that's M. And then 5 is just like the number of units. That adds a bunch of white space. But I don't think that looks too pretty. So let's try the padding. Look, that's the padding. Now I'm able to have a little bit more blue on my side. I'm a little able to have like a good chunk for the header. But one thing that I'm noticing is that black and blue don't look good together. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to mess with the text next. So I can make the class text white. And if you're wondering like, oh my god, how does she know all of this? If you go on Bootstrap, they'll have classes available. Like they'll have like documentation to show you what classes you can use. I'm also going to center my text, and I can do that with text center. So now this looks more like a real heading. Okay. Next, what else can we do? If I scroll down, this is a little boring too. Or I guess maybe you can't. Let's see. My footer. If you can't see it, it's my foot down here. My footer, it's a little bit boring. So how do we fix this? We're gonna do that same thing. So we're gonna do class equals, and then we're gonna go ahead and we're going to make it background, let's say dark, or make it text white. Text, I think small is something available. We're gonna do text center, and we're going to make the padding 3. That's like 3 out of 5. Look. I don't know, actually don't know if text small does anything, but you know what you can do to make it small? I think there is an element named small, and I can put the text inside that. There would be no way for you to know this unless you just randomly found a bunch of HTML elements. So you notice now the text is a little bit smaller. And then all that's really left to do to play around and have a website of your dreams is to go ahead and play around with the spacing a little bit more. I can go ahead and show you my current website. This is the way that I've done it. I'm gonna go ahead and refresh that to the spacing. Ooh. Make this a little bit smaller so you don't see. Yeah, so this is what the spacing looks like. See right there. So this is what it looks like. After you play around with the spacing a little bit, after you play around with what's in the row and columns, this is what you can get. Okay, I'm gonna give y'all 5 minutes. I'm gonna go put on a 5-minute timer for y'all to show me what, for y'all to have some time to work on your own website and hopefully share it if you like on the stream. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and do this goofy themed timer. Oh, I should have learned my lesson with YouTube. Okay. So feel free to go ahead and also send any questions you want in the chat. I'll kind of monitor it. I'll step away for just a minute, take a quick break, but then I'll show you guys what you can do. It looks like the timer is not wanting to be a timer, so we'll get that going in just a sec. So I'm gonna give y'all the full 5 minutes, and I'll see y'all when we're done. And we're back. What is up, y'all? I hope you all had some time to go ahead and play around with your own websites for a minute, whether it was a personal website or whatever you wanted to spend time to make it on. At this time, you know, we do have time that we can go two ways. We can either have people show off their websites or we can work more on my website. I would prefer to show off your websites. I think that'll be more fun, more enjoyable, a little more personal. So if you're interested in showing off your websites, please feel free to send the link in the chat, and then I'm gonna look it up really quick privately and then just make sure everything's good, and then I'll go ahead and throw it on the stream. I'm gonna give it a little bit. See if anyone wants to. No pressure. I don't want anyone to ever feel like they have to show it off. I mean, I would love to personally see it. I'm also open to if you have like a past website that uses HTML and Bootstrap and you're interested in sharing that, I'd love to be able to see that. And then we can also kind of inspect the elements and we can look through the code all together. Okay, in the meantime, we'll go ahead and we'll kind of step a little further and play around with this website a little bit more. Let's make this a little wider. Let's zoom in on this code. There we go. So one thing that we can also do that I kind of enjoy is that instead of specifying your units, you can actually just make it column, and it should theoretically kind of fill up like whatever space is left. So if I take it away from both, you'll actually see that it'll make it like half and half. But if I put 3, then that right side knows to automatically adjust to what it would be with 9. I love seeing practice websites. Honestly, I've had some really bad practice websites as well, which, you know, I cannot blame you for not wanting to show them because I would not show mine. I'm open to any websites that are really pretty simple, you know, HTML and a Bootstrap, maybe a little CSS if you really want to show it off, but I want to keep it as simple as possible because I know we have some beginners here too. Okay, what else can I do to play around with this? Oh, I can also show you all if what we're doing is like, say like this right here. It looks a little smushed. If I had it even wider, it probably wouldn't look smushed, but it kind of looks smushed. So, I'm also going to add some margin onto the bottom because this button right here should not be touching the footer like that. Okay. So right now, you know, it looks a little smushed. I'm going to get rid of call right here because it's half and half, so it should automatically adjust. So if you see, what happens is wonder why it did that. I think because it's so small. So if you notice, since I just did call, it actually automatically adjusts on its own, where if it's large, it's going to be side by side, but when it gets smaller, it just goes ahead and does top and bottom. So that's fun. Ooh, I built my portfolio with nest.css. It's so basic, but looks nice, gives an old Nintendo NES style. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna look this up on my screen privately first, just to, you know, I'm sure there's nothing bad, but just gotta do some casual screening. wait. Okay, you sent me the documentation. Feel free to also send your actual website. Huh. But this is really cool. Look at this. And NES CSS is an NES style 8-bit like CSS framework. So if you notice that this primary success warning error, they're all pretty similar to what Bootstrap has. And it looks like we can see the code here. So NES text is primary. Huh. It's also fun. I love this. If anyone is looking, I think this for like a hackathon would be really cool, especially, oh, imagine a text adventure game website using this framework. Okay. Oh, wow, I really do love this. So NES CSS does not include any JavaScript. Oh, so it's really basic. It really is just about having the CSS. Okay. So let's see what your website looks like. Oh, Indigo. Oh, it's a capital P portfolio. Okay, let's check it out. Oh, this is really cool. I love you got like the little icon. Oh, I love that. Oh, wow. I love seeing like all the different, it really is all 8-bit and fun. And it makes sense because it looks, oh, I love this very portfolio was made after the MLH localhost workshop. I love that back in 2020. This is really cool. So let's go ahead and let's look at what this code is as well. So we're going to right click. We're going to inspect. And let's look at some code. So what's really cool about, I think, simple portfolios is how, so I expand this. Okay, let's see, is it responsive? It doesn't, it's kind of responsive, but at a certain point, it just starts to cut off. But it's still pretty cool. So just something to look at. But let's see. If you have never inspect element with like a website before, I highly recommend because it kind of lets you see like what everything has. So what's really, really cool about this is like you can highlight and you can see like H1 is a portfolio. You can see main is everything. You can see the title, about, you see all the about. It's a total mess. Honestly, this is so cool. I love the style anyways. It's a really cool portfolio style website. I might have to check this out myself. Maybe I'll make like a text adventure game using it, just because I think that's so fun. So you can see your div that has like the bio, the class name bio. You can see pick, skill, and what's also really cool is we can even go into sources right here. And let's see what else you have. There's docs. We have the index HTML. Huh. And it looks like you put the CSS and the docs right here. So we can even see his CSS here as well. Okay, give me a chance. Now I do better. I have better websites working on a generic hackathon website that organizers can use without dealing with JavaScript and frameworks. Love that. I love kind of simple. I think it gets sometimes more is not better for sure. But wow, this is really cool. I really love this CSS, and honestly, I do the same thing where I kind of like I start working on a website and then I forget about it several years later. I think my own personal website, I haven't done in a while. But oh, let's check out what your project is. I'm just gonna make sure I check things out. Oh my goodness. actually love this. Okay, so Indigo Wizard says that you learned responsivity, and also, warning, it is only 80% ready. But okay, let's test this out. So if you don't know, you can go to inspect and say you want to know like what this website would look like on a phone, but you don't want to pull out your phone to do that. You can click this button right here. That is a device emulation. Whoop. And let's go ahead and let's zoom in. Ooh. This is responsive. Stark Industries. Wayne Enterprises, I like it. Wow. MLH, we do love MLH. This is really great. Wow. Grogu. I love that. They have hover effect. Oh, this is so cool. So phones don't really have hover effects. I'm gonna go back to just the text or just the regular. Okay. Oh, this is so cool. It looks like you have like, how did you do this? Let's see. Um, oh, okay. So it looks like you have the background as well as a transparent image. So the background is cut into like a circle, and the transparent image of the person is overlaid on top, and you just increase both of them. That is so cool. Oh, it's clipping. Do you mean my video is clipping? Might not be strong enough to handle all this amazing CSS. This is really great. And you have accordions. I love this. You even have a map. I love this. This is really cool. Oh. This is fun. So you're scrolling, and it's one page. It's pretty simple. I actually really like this. I think this is great for people who are new to hackathon or who wants to organize a hackathon, but they find that sometimes organizing it can be a little overwhelming. But this is a really great job, and I love, let's see, how complex is your CSS? Let's see. Oh, you have a separate one for your mobile. Probably keeps it clean. Ah. Style CSS. Oh, you have your used CSS variables, which is really cool. I love this. Everything's really well documented too. Okay, so, and then if I go here, wow. I really love this. I do things much cleaner now. No, I'm glad you're learning and you're improving. This is honestly great job. Great job. Ooh, this is fun. Okay. Wow. Honestly, I hope people start using this. This is really great. Looks like Gaurav also thinks so. Hey, does anyone else wants to show off a website that they've done with, maybe something simple like HTML, Bootstrap, CSS, If anyone, if not, I'll go ahead and I'll give you some, like, probably end it around here, but I would love, 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 love to see more websites if y'all have it. You're giving me inspiration. I have not made my own website for like myself in so long, so you're really encouraging me. Okay. Ooh, your replit from the session. Okay. Your replit from the session. Let me pull it up first. So oh, let's see. Let's load it up together. Sometimes things take a little bit. Great work. I love how encouraging everyone is. Ooh, might take a. I'm a little impatient sometimes when it comes to things loading. I think my computer might be a little slow right now. Oh, you thought this was a simple website? Okay. Ah! This is fun. I like it. Let's see how you did that. Let's go to inspect. And let's go to, okay. So let's see what you have. So it looks like you have a div called slide 1, and then you have a div called slide 2, or with the class slide 2. And you have them. So you have JoJo's, a JoJo gift on slide 2. And let's go ahead and let's check out your CSS. CSS is simple. Oh, how did you do this? Is slide just something that you can do in, oh, how did you do this? I've never tried that before. So I think that's really cool. Oh, you put the HTML in the you put the CSS in the HTML. I love that. You didn't use a separate file. That is a hack that you can do. So I honestly, I love this. Anyone who hasn't seen it? Isn't that cool? Okay. But I want to say thank you all for joining along. Please make sure that you've checked in. If you haven't, go to hackpack/YFW1 check in. And then let's also see what rate, we can see what rate workshops do we have next. So today at 8 a.m., or sorry, today in about 20 minutes, we're going to have a Bob Ross MS Paint event, which will be super, super exciting. I highly recommend going. I always love that because I'm really bad at Bob Ross painting, but I love seeing what everyone comes up with. It's always a hoot. Then you can also learn on how to, of course, create more things. Ooh, using low and no code tools. That'll be at 2 a.m. for me, so I definitely won't be there. But if you want to come see me tomorrow for CSS, where we'll kind of be playing around with we'll be playing around more with a worksheet style. Go to day 4, and I will be going at 5 p.m. PT. So that's an hour earlier than it was today. But yeah, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate you being here. If you have any questions about this, feel free to ask me, come into chat tomorrow. But you can find all the links down here. You can tweet me down at Mara Coach. You can make sure you check in. And then if you didn't get all the code from today, make sure that you go to the GitHub here and you can find all the slides and information you need to so you can play around yourself. Yeah. Thank you all so much. I'm really glad to have you all here, and I can't wait to see you all tomorrow. Okay. Bye.